In 1984, one athlete swept 4 Olympic gold medals: 100 meters, 200 meters, the long jump, and the relay. The sweep echoed Jesse Owens, and it set a new benchmark for track greatness. Carl Lewis emerged as the face of American athletics in the 1980s, and that year came to define his dominance. But beneath the medals and global fame, how do you actually measure Carl Lewis's dominance in the crucible of Olympic history? To answer that, we must go beyond highlight reels, test every myth about his record, and measure his legacy against rivals, records, technique, and the pressures of his era. On a sunlit afternoon in Los Angeles, Carl Lewis settled into the blocks for the 100 meters, the stadium pulsing with anticipation. When the gun sounded, he surged ahead, crossing the line in 9.99 seconds, nearly a quarter of a second clear of the field. That margin, an astonishing 8 feet, was the widest Olympic victory in the event since the 1920s. The world took notice. Lewis was not just winning, he was redefining what dominance looked like on the track. 3 days later, he returned for the long jump final. On his very first attempt, Lewis soared 8.54 meters, over 28 feet, into a steady headwind. The jump instantly secured gold, outdistancing his closest rival by nearly a foot. Instead of chasing a world record, Lewis calmly passed on his remaining 4 jumps, a decision that left some fans puzzled and others in awe. For Lewis, the calculation was simple. With 6 races already behind him and 3 more still ahead, conserving energy mattered more than chasing history on a single afternoon. His confidence was absolute. The gold was his, and the schedule demanded discipline over spectacle. The 200 meters brought another test. Lewis powered through the rounds and stormed to an Olympic record of 19.8 seconds in the final. By now, the comparisons to Jesse Owens were everywhere. Owens had swept these same events nearly half a century earlier in Berlin. Yet Lewis's feat unfolded in a new era, under the glare of global television and the weight of post-boycott expectations. Every stride, every leap, every baton exchange carried the hopes of American track and field. The final act came in the 4x100 meter relay. Lewis anchored the United States team, flashing down the straightaway to stop the clock at 37.83 seconds, a new world record. 4 events, 4 golds. Sprint, jump, relay. Each victory required a different blend of speed, power, and strategy. For the first time in decades, one athlete stood atop the Olympic stage in every discipline he entered. The sweep was not just about medals, it was about presence. Lewis became the face of American athletics, his image broadcast to millions, his performances echoing the legend of Owens while setting a new standard for greatness. In Los Angeles, Carl Lewis did not just win, he changed what was possible for a track and field athlete. Greatness in track and field is often debated but rarely measured. To cut through the noise, a clear scorecard is needed, one that weighs not just medals, but the full scope of an athlete's impact. 4 pillars stand out: event breadth, longevity, peak dominance, and the strength of the era and rivals faced. Each carries its own weight in the final tally: 30% for event breadth, 25% for longevity, 25% for peak dominance, and 20% for era difficulty and head-to-heads. Event breadth asks how many disciplines an athlete mastered at the highest level. For Carl Lewis, this means excelling in the 100 meters, the 200 meters, the long jump, and relay events. 4 distinct events, each demanding a different blend of skill. By comparison, most legends specialize. Jesse Owens swept 4 gold medals in a single games, but few have matched that range over a full career. Usain Bolt, the modern standard for sprinting dominance, never contested the long jump at a global level. Longevity measures how long an athlete remained at the top. Lewis's Olympic journey stretched from 1984 to 1996, with 4 straight long jump gold medals and medals in sprints and relays across 3 different decades. This kind of sustained excellence is rare in any era, let alone in events that punish the body year after year. Bolt's reign, while spectacular, spanned 3 Olympic Games. Owens, due to the era and World War II, had only 1 shot on the Olympic stage. Peak dominance is about the highest level reached, Bolt's 9.58 seconds in the 100 meters remains the fastest ever, a time that has become the benchmark for pure speed. Lewis, too, set world records, most notably anchoring the U.S. relay team to a world best in 1984 and running under 10 seconds repeatedly when few others could. But dominance also shows in margins. Lewis's 1984 Olympic 100 meters victory, by 8 feet, still stands out for its authority. ERA difficulty and head-to-heads account for the quality of rivals and the context of competition. Lewis faced the full force of the 1980s and the 1990s, the rise of professional training, the shadow of doping scandals, and rivals like Ben Johnson and Mike Powell, athletes who pushed him to the edge. Owens competed under the pressure of Berlin in 1936. Bolt's era featured deep Jamaican and American sprint fields and relentless drug testing. Each champion's path was shaped by the challenges of their own time. By laying out these criteria and weights, the debate becomes more than just a matter of opinion. It becomes a question of how much each element matters, and how Carl Lewis, Jesse Owens, and Usain Bolt stack up when every dimension is measured. The next step is to see how the numbers, records, and rivalries fill out the score. Carl Lewis's journey began far from the Olympic spotlight in Birmingham, Alabama, where he was born in 1961. His family moved north to Willingboro, New Jersey, a place where backyard sprints and after-school meets shaped his first steps as an athlete. Early on, Lewis showed flashes of speed and an uncanny knack for jumping, but raw talent alone did not explain what followed. That transformation began at the University of Houston under the guidance of coach Tom Tellez. Tellez was more than a coach. He was a technical architect. He believed that greatness was built, not born, and he approached the track like a laboratory. Training with Tellez meant breaking down every movement, from the angle of the knee at push-off to the rhythm of the arms in flight. He drilled into Lewis the importance of relaxed mechanics, running fast by running loose, not tight. The mantra was simple: relax, don't get quick, slow down. This counterintuitive approach allowed Lewis to maintain top speed longer, especially in the final meters when others tightened up and faded. The emphasis on technique created a rare advantage. In the long jump, Tellez introduced the 21-step approach, using carefully placed markers to guarantee consistency. Each run-up was measured, each takeoff rehearsed, until it became second nature. The focus was not on brute force, but on repeatable mechanics, precision that could withstand the pressure of major championships. Houston's training environment fostered experimentation. Tellez and Lewis worked side by side, adjusting stride patterns, testing new drills, and refining the penultimate step that would launch Lewis further than anyone thought possible. Consistency was the objective. This technical foundation set Lewis apart. Where others relied on raw power or instinct, his performances were engineered for consistency. The result was a style that looked effortless but was built on years of technical mastery, a blueprint that would carry Lewis across 4 Olympic cycles and into the debate over the greatest all-around track and field athlete. Engineered for reliability, his career was both precise and enduring. Personal bests tell only part of the story, but Carl Lewis's numbers are staggering. He clocked 9.86 seconds in the 100 meters and 19.75 seconds in the 200 meters. Times that remain competitive even decades later. In the long jump, he soared 8.87 meters legally, and once reached 8.91 meters with a wind at his back. These marks anchored a career that redefined what it meant to be world-class in multiple events. But greatness is measured under pressure, not just on the clock or tape. For 10 years, Lewis was unbeatable in the long jump, compiling a streak of 65 consecutive wins from 1981 to 1991. But in Tokyo, that run met its greatest threat. Mike Powell launched himself 8.95 meters, breaking Bob Beeman's legendary record and handing Lewis a rare defeat, even as Lewis posted the second longest legal jump in history. The duel was more than a battle of distances. It was a test of nerve and resilience, with Lewis pushing Powell to a place no one else had reached. On the track, the 1988 Seoul Olympics brought a different kind of challenge. Lewis finished second in the 100 meters, only to see Ben Johnson disqualified for steroids. Lewis was awarded gold, his 9.92 seconds recognized as a world record. The moment was bittersweet. The era was awash in doping scandals, and every victory came with questions. Lewis's own record stands clear of steroid violations, but the scrutiny of the time never fully faded. Every rivalry, every record, every medal was earned in an environment where trust was scarce and the stakes were higher than ever. Elite versatility like Carl Lewis remains rare in an era of hyper-specialization. As records fall and new legends rise, his 9 Olympic gold medals across 4 Olympic Games still set an impossible standard. The measure of greatness shifts, but the bar he set endures. What does it take to truly redefine a sport?